welcome, and thank you for joining us for National Children's Memorial Day. We're honored to have you here. My name is Robert Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Amelia Center, and on behalf of our staff and countless individuals behind the scenes making this possible, we're thankful that you could join us today. For 22 years, we've paused on the second Sunday of December to take the time to remember children who have died too soon and to recognize you, the families who are grieving for those kids. For the second year in a row, we're coming to you virtually. We are happy to do this in any format, but when we had to make decisions about what was going to be able to be done this year, virtual was the best solution. We look forward to seeing you in the future in person, but until then, we are doing everything we can to come and be able to be with you on this day as we remember your kids.
Darkness is so much a part of our lives, and yet we spend so much time and energy trying to dispel the darkness. As we look to our faith traditions, we realize how many important things happen in the darkness, and the darkness begins to look a little different. Abraham, the patriarch of many faith traditions, was an old man, disbelieving of God's promise to make him the father of many nations because he and his wife Sarah have waited so long to have children. God led Abraham out into the darkness to look at the stars. And God said, "Look into the sky and count the stars if you can. And that's how many descendants you will have." That conversation could not have happened in the brightness of the day. Jacob wrestled with an angel by a river all night long and survived with a limp, a blessing, and a new name. His son Joseph dreamt dreams and interpreted dreams, all of which could not have occurred without darkness and night. And he became an advisor to the Pharaoh. The exodus from Egypt began in the dark. While our darkness could be a time to lose faith and hope, it can become a time when we recognize and begin to look at ourselves and the world around us through a different lens. As we remember together, join with me in prayer. God in darkness and God of light, we are here because sometimes darkness feels like it's all we have, and it's really hard to see in the dark. We're uncomfortable. It's easy to lose our way. We have so much trouble seeing our way forward. As we participate in this service, show us pinpricks of light. Help us see the light that shone through our loved one. Help us see the light that shines through our memories. Help us see the light that shines through our loved ones. Help us see the light that shines when we share our grief with others. Help us see the light that shines when we remember together. Let this time together blow fresh wind into our lives. Let the small lights grow into candles and bonfires and eventually stars that help light our way. Nudge us to look, to remember the stars, to recognize the light when we see it and when we need it. Light our way now. Amen.
Hi, my name is Lou Lacey, and I'm Director of Emotional Wellness at Children's of Alabama. I'm an employee counselor, so I'm happy to have a few minutes with you today for this special occasion. I wanted to share a story with you about something that happened to me a couple of years ago. It involves my house. I love my house. As a matter of fact, I fell in love with my house before it was my house, before I even set foot in it. I saw it online and I thought, that's it. That's my place. That's where I belong. And so I bought it. And sure enough, I moved in and it just felt right immediately. The warmth of it, the light in it, the peace of it, it just fit me. And the people around me fit me. And I felt like I had an instant community around me because my neighbors were so wonderful and their kids were just great. I kind of became the honorary grandmother of the street. Watching them grow up and watching them play in my front yard, it's just a special kind of heaven that brings me a joy that I can't even describe. And so it just felt completely like my place until suddenly, abruptly, one day it stopped feeling that way. And I can tell you exactly when that happened. It happened on a Monday, May 19th, May 20th, 2019. At 6:50 a.m. to be exact. And that's the day that I left home. I walked out of my front door of my house and I walked to my car like I had done literally thousands of times before. But I walked toward my car and I noticed that another car was speeding up the street toward me. And I stepped back even a little bit. But once it got just 10 feet beyond me, they slammed on the brakes, and a man got out of the back seat of the car and came toward me. He had a ski mask on, and he had a gun, and he put the gun in my face and said, "Give me your bag." And within 10 seconds, the whole thing was over. You know, I actually would have doubted my own memory had my neighbor's security camera not captured the whole thing. So that's when it changed. It stopped feeling like my place. It stopped feeling like my home. And I was scared. And so I decided I have to move. I have to leave this place. I want to go to a better neighborhood. And so, you know, I was torn, though, at the same time because I didn't want to leave my friends. I didn't want to leave the love that was there in that place, in my community. I didn't want to miss watching those children grow up. I didn't want to miss marking milestones and celebrating holidays and doing all of that. But fear won out in the end, and I put a for sale sign up in my yard. And I decided it was time. I was going to move. So I lined up a moving company, and I started packing boxes and everything. And I found another place. I found a house that I could live in. And it was in that, quote, good neighborhood. But the house was high on a hill, and there was really no one within shouting distance of me. And from that place on the hill, I wouldn't get to know neighbors. I wouldn't see children in my front yard. It felt both safe and cold at the same time. But I moved ahead with it. And that was my plan until, again, suddenly, abruptly, one day, all of that changed and my feelings changed. And that's when I came home from work one day and all of my neighbors and their children were in my front yard. They were waiting for me. And they had flowers and they had signs and they had every good and beautiful and magical thing waiting for me there. And they said, "Please don't leave." And my heart melted and my tears flowed. And I knew right then that I couldn't leave. I couldn't let that one stranger take that from me. I couldn't let him rob me of that joy. And I couldn't turn away from that love. And so I decided to stay. And I realized that some of the things that happen in our lives are so terrible. They're beyond heartbreak. And there's no silver lining to be found. There's nothing that can make it okay. But in this situation, in my situation, what I realized was that I never would have known the depth of that tenderness had I not known that great fear. It took that contrast for me to understand that and to feel that. And so now, a couple of years later, a global pandemic later, I can say that if I was given the chance to do that all over again, that I would leave my house that morning at 6:50 and walk toward love. And that's what I learned. So now I believe that we're going to read the names of some children, and feel free to light your candle at that time if you feel so moved. Thank you.
Carter Reed Adams, David Alejandro Aldana, Meredith Ryan Anderson, Gabriel Brock Apodaca, Christopher B. Barnett Jr., Melinda Gail Barron, Ethan Bean, Branson Keith Bearden, John Belcher, Noah Drake Bickerstaff, Octavius Bledsoe, Latanya Crystal Annette Boone, Aaron Linton Brawley, Patrick Neil Brawley, Blake David Brown, Miracle Grace Brown, Brianna Daly Bryant, Emily Caitlin Katie Burkett, Clayton Donovan Burrell, Derek A. Carlington, Adeline Olivia Chatham, Scott Cannell, Madeline Elizabeth Cook, Angel Janae Cassette, Teddy Bear, Zach Caneo, Jared Christopher Darby, Caleb Riggs Devers, Marissa Danielle Dickey, Erin Elizabeth Drake, Matthew Maddie Dudley, Clay Edwin East, Grayson Eggleston, Amelia Elliott, Troy Ellis, Bethany Evans, Jason Lamar Floyd, Winter Went Fontaine Gilmore, Dallas Virginia Golson, Anais Holly Green, Zachary Jalen Greer, Amaya Gail Harden, Charles Casey Hare, Michael Keith Henderson Jr., Travis Michael Hightower, Shakis Jarrell Hill, Raylan Justine Hill, Joyandra Renee Hinton, King Titus James Hubbard, Trey Hunt, Aaron Michael Jackson, Lawrence Mond Jefferson Jr., Christian Zion Johnson, Ethan Walter Jones, Caleb D'Angelo Jones, Misty Dawn Kelly, Jason Varner Kesterson, Chris A. Klask, Macy Knight, Timothy Ryan Korn, Jeffrey Daniel Ledbetter, Carterius Jamez Lowe, Kadarius Jamir Martin, Jordan L. Matthews, Rendell May Jr., Samuel Dean McCombs, Brandon David Meadows, Annie Louise Mills, Jackie Andrew Monroe II, Antonio Moreno, Jose Moreno, Sanquez Derico Ricarlos Morgan, Adasia Janice Moss, Alexis Janae Moss, James David Petruzella, Josephine Dallas Phillips, Paula Louise Reed, William Daniel Reed, Wesley Adam Sayers, Isla Smith, Shane Aaron Stathers, Tyson Elliott Stewart, Adam Lee Taylor, Braylon Alexia Thompson, Amelia Zoe Turk, AJ Underwood, Annabelle Upton, Remington Colt Vickery, Keith Randall Watts, Detreo Wharton, Edie Sharon Walensky, Niles Andre Williams, Emma Rose Wilson, Kenneth Jason Wilson, Duan Zhu.
A poem by John O'Donohue. Though we need to weep your loss, you dwell in that safe place in our hearts where no storm on night or pain can reach you. Your love was like the dawn, brightening our lives, awakening beneath the dark a further adventure of color. The sound of your voice found for us a new music that brightened everything. Whatever you unfolded in your gaze, quickened in the joy of its being, you placed smiles like flowers on the altar of the heart. Your mind always sparkled with the wonder of things. Though your days here were brief, your spirit was alive, awake, complete. We look toward each other no longer from the distances of our names. Now you dwell inside the rhythm of breath, as close to us as we are to ourselves. Though we cannot see you with outward eyes, we know our souls gaze upon your face, smiling back at us from within everything to which we bring our best refinement. Let us not look for you only in memory, where we would grow lonely without you. You would want us to find you in presence, beside us when beauty brightens, when kindness glows and music echoes eternal tones. When orchids brighten the earth, darkest winter has turned to spring. May this dark grief flower of hope in every heart that loves you. May you continue to inspire us to enter each day with a generous heart, to serve the call of courage and love until we see your beautiful face again, in that land where there is no more separation, where all tears will be wiped from our mind and we will never lose you again.
Hello, my name is Matt Bunt, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Amelia Center. This year's theme for National Children's Memorial Day is Stars in the Darkness. We chose that theme based on the fact that we know darkness is very much a part of the grief journey, and especially grief over the loss of a loved one, such as a child. And just as Lou was describing her experience and her own fear related to what she had to go through, you may find yourself in a similar situation, dealing with the fear, dealing with the thought of running from your experience. But in the midst of that fear, and just as Lou chose to do, she chose to look at love and the relationships that she had built. And through this season, when sometimes darkness can feel intense and overwhelming, we encourage you to look at the stars in your own life, in the light that brings brightness in this darkness. Maybe it's friends, family, relationships. Maybe it's a trusted counselor or clergy member, or just someone that can sit there with you in your pain. Those are the spots of light that help guide you through this time. And we encourage you to invest in those during this holiday season, in yourself, for your relationships, and in memory of the person that you are loving who has died. So we encourage you, as we watch the slideshow of pictures at this time, to think about those relationships and the memories that live on. Thank you.
sunlight and crystal rain. One heart, still the same. Cold cityscape, steel street signs. We wake to pass through time. It's all surrounding around me.
touch of gravity. But I know that I'm alright because you give to me something to hold on to. Something to hold on to. Till tomorrow comes. Something to hold on to. You give me something to hold on to. Till tomorrow comes.
As we close, we wanted to take the time to thank you again for joining us in this event. We hope that you have continued healing and a meaningful holiday season. Thank you.